think of the Fire Marshal's office, you might picture a fire station with impressive rigs, water hoses, and the sounds of sirens. But the Kitsap County Fire Marshal's office is actually located here at the Kitsap County Administrative Services Building in Port Orchard. Travel down to the second floor, and you'll find the Fire Marshal's office in the Department of Community Development. Besides the Fire Marshal, David Lynham, his office includes the Assistant Fire Marshal, Deputy Fire Marshals, Risk Check Inspectors, and the Commercial Plans Examiners.
What are some of the things that your office is responsible for?
You know, we wear a lot of hats. Fire marshals wear a lot of hats here, and we are with the Department of Community Development in a work group that's called Building and Fire Safety. So we do a lot of things for the community. We regulate outdoor burning. We regulate all the fireworks sales and discharge, retail sales that might be out there. We make for sure that all of our community festivities that we have are safe for us to attend. But our real mission is in support of our department's goals to build safe communities. We want to make for sure that all the places that people have to work and do business and play are built safe, that they're maintained in a fire-safe condition, so that they can be assured of a reasonable degree of safety when they go into these things. So we've got three main programs that we do to accomplish that. One of them is with our new construction. We review the plans submitted for all manner of new construction. You know, some of the bigger homes that are out there, a school, a hospital, all that stuff we'll review and then do inspections on site to make for sure that it's done correctly. Once the building's built, we have a risk check program where we go out and visit the sites periodically to make for sure that they're maintained in a fire-safe condition. And lastly, we do fire investigation so that we can see what caused fires to make for sure is there something that we need to do a code change for. And we do arson and investigation of other criminal activities that can cause fire that endangers our whole community.
Well, thank you for giving me that overview, because now it puts it in better perspective of why you'd be here in the admin building, along with the Department of Community Development. Tell us a little bit more about reviewing plans.
Well, reviewing plans, it's just like the building department here. People who want to build or modify a building come in and they apply for a building permit. And they come over and we look at that. Everything is transmitted electronically anymore. We don't have paper. So using that electronic format, we'll evaluate the type of construction for their intended use to make for sure that this building is going to be safe for how they're going to use it. Then when you've got your permit, we're going to go out and inspect it and make for sure we built it the way that we planned. We're going to make for sure that you've got adequate fire emergency access to the properties that are there. We're going to make for sure that they've got fire flow, fire hydrants in case you actually have a fire. And then we want to make for sure that your fire protection systems, like your alarms, your sprinkler systems, standpipes, even the hood systems in your restaurants are all installed properly.
Is that where the risk check program comes in?
Yes, kind of. After you've got this building built and you're after it a while, we use this program. It's called Risk Check. And we're going to come out and look at the risks that you have to actually help you stay in business, because it's to our benefit that you stay in business. We want business owners and people who work there to have a business to go to. And you know, nationally, most of the time when there's a fire in a business, they don't come back. You know, they're gone to the community. It's a huge loss. So we want to give you some tools to use. So we go out and inspect these things periodically and make for sure that they're okay. Periodically means every once in a while, but we've got a really unique program to determine how often we got to come out there, and it's based on the risk that you present. So we're going to consider, for one, what's the chances of it catching on fire, and if it does catch on fire, what's the chances it's going to get very big? So if you got a fire and it's going to get big, what's the chances that somebody could get hurt? We also consider whether this is critical infrastructure for our community, the type of building that we need to be there in an emergency. And then we consider, you know, things that are within the building. Number one, can the building kind of take care of itself? It's got fire-resistive construction. Do you have sprinklers in the building? Do you have a fire alarm system so that you can tell people to get out and call for help? And then lastly, it's, you know, what can the fire department bring to the scene in case there is an emergency?
Well, so if I was a business owner and I was going to be preparing for one of these risk check visits, what would I do? What would I expect?
Well, you might not get it all the time. Like I said, it depends on the risk that you're associated there. So our office will contact you. Want to come up with a convenient time to come out, because, you know, sometimes you're just worse than others. We want to help you help yourself to stay in business. So if you know we're coming, some of the things that you want to do to prepare is, just take a look around your place. Number one, is the building still in good shape? Did you have some repairs that needed to be done, or they may be in process? You want to check that stuff out. Your sprinkler system, is it charged? Has it been maintained? Your fire alarm system, even your fire extinguishers that you might have. Are your exit ways clears? The paths that you need to get to the places where you work. Are your exit signs illuminated so that whoever you might have in your building can find their way out? And then we look for things like, your housekeeping. Have you got, you empty your garbage frequently? Have you got, your dumpsters? Are they away from the building? Do you have accumulations of stuff that, maybe you might obstruct your exiting, things like that? If you're using flammable or combustible liquids, are they in approved places to store those? Are they in the proper type of cabinets? And then lastly, your ignition sources, like, maybe you use hot glue guns or something like that in part of your business. You want to make for sure that those are unplugged, stowed away properly, any open flames like that. And, when our people come out, they're going to find out about your business and, what you really need, and make for sure that we're still got a reasonable degree of safety as they move forward, because we want you to be there next time.
Well, that seems like it'd be really valuable for a business, given that what you just mentioned is a lot of things to think about.
It is. And they can contact them beforehand. We've got some flyers that they can have, things to check, and it's pretty effective. We have a pretty good record.
You make some recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the next thing that I think we're going to talk about, I'm excited about, is the fire investigation.
Yeah.
Because I know that we get to go to Fire Station 31,
That's
right? Okay, and we're going there because?
Well, I've got some stuff I want to show you.
Okay.
I want to show you the tools that we use for fire investigation, and I've got some examples of things that, cause fires in homes that people might not be aware of.
Super. Well, let's head on over.
Great.
David, so you brought us here to this Fire Station 31 in Port Orchard. Do you do a lot of investigations from the stations?
No, we don't. We don't work out of the fire districts. We work out of the county admin building, but our fire marshals are on duty 24/7, 365.
Well, that begs the question, I guess, what's the difference between the fire marshal and the fire district?
That's a great question. We get that a lot. The fire districts have responsibility for emergency response. They have to respond to emergencies, but they don't do the code enforcement, they don't review the plans, they don't do the inspections, and they don't do the investigations. That's our job. But we couldn't do what we do without them, and they need us to accomplish their mission as well. So we work very closely with all of our fire districts.
I love that. And this rig that you brought me here in, well-equipped rig, what is it? Tell us about it.
Well, we call it the BRT.
Okay.
It's a big red truck.
Of course it is.
So this is it's an example. This is my rig, but all of our deputy fire marshals have similar rigs that's equipped with all kinds of stuff here, the tools that we use all the time for investigation. It involves everything from simple shovels, we do a lot of digging, to personal protective equipment. Here we have our BA, our respirators, if we have to go into smoky environments. We have different personal protective equipment. If it's not smoky, we have different respirators here. We've got a lot of tools. We spend a lot of time on our hands and knees looking at stuff in fire, so of course your pads are going to be very important. Regular sizes of hand tools, extension cords. I carry a generator in this truck. We can light up scenes. We've got power inverters that are here, power tools. We've got expensive cameras, and of course, when we're really down there digging into stuff, sometimes we need to take some things to send into laboratories, so we all carry a cache of these lined cans that if there's items we want to send off to a lab, we'll seal them up in here. Usually we'll use the Washington State Patrol Crime Laboratory. Brought in some of our tools here. This is what we call a sniffer. We all carry them. You turn them on and it allows us to, it sniffs out combustible or flammable vapors. Could be an indication of an accelerant at a fire scene. So we use those to pick them up. And we have 5 of these. So if you got a big incident, we're going to bring more people. That brings more gear. But we try to put everything that an investigator would need for the short term to handle a fire in one rig.
It certainly looks like you've got just about everything you could possibly
a little bit of
need
everything
for
in there.
every eventuality, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about where most fires that we have locally take place.
Well, without a doubt, it's in your home. You know, it's the place where we should feel the very safest, is actually one of the most dangerous places where we can be. If you think about it, we do everything in our homes. We cook in our homes, and they have to have heating, they have to have electricity. We have fires in our home, we have activities, we sleep there. They get a tremendous amount of use, and some of the things we do in our homes, you know, people can just take for granted that everything's going to work okay for them.
That makes perfect sense. And so what are some of those main house fire causes that you guys see? One
of the big causes that we have is cooking. You know, across the country, and we don't go to every fire, but the ones that we do that are big fires, cooking is something to. We also have misuse of a heating source, where somebody may use, let's say, a space heater. We have incidents where people get them right up next to a chair or something like that. They're on, they fall asleep. Open flames, you've got candles in your homes, you've got fireplaces in your homes. We have solid fuel appliances. So there's a number of things like that that we just kind of take for granted they're going to work out okay, but we really need to pay some extra attention to them to be safe in our homes.
Well, I know that I've heard recently of the dangers of the heat lamps.
Exactly.
That people use to keep their pets warm, and I know you have some stuff here that demonstrates.
Yeah, we brought an example of that today. Just a couple of years ago, we had 7 fires in homes that destroyed 7 homes in this county, and they were caused by heat lamps that we had in there. So this is an example of what people use for the heat lamps, and they're hot. They are really, really hot. So the lamp that we have here is typical what you can buy, you know, when you buy your chicks, when you buy your puppy, your kitty, whatever the types of animals that you have. And you'll mount it up inside of there. They'll fall down on here. Typically, they'll put fleece in the bottom. If this gets draped over that lamp, it's just minutes before it ignites. In the bag there, I didn't pull it out, but in that bag is just straw. People will put shavings in there.
Bedding.
Bedding, yeah, that's right, exactly, from the live on. And so when that comes in contact with that lamp bulb that's on there, it can be open flame in less than 2 minutes.
Jeez, that's quick.
It's very quick. So what we always like to recommend is if you're going to use that, you need to go get some zip ties too, and make for sure that that lamp is on the outside of wherever the animals are going to be. If it's on top of this, zip tie it down hard so that it can't move away. But really, for the most part, you've got chicks in there. Why don't you just bring them in your house and put them in your utility room with you?
Because it's just a few weeks that they need the extra warmth, right?
Absolutely. Put in a water bottle there, you know, a 2-liter bottle full of warm water. Put it in with the bedding, something like that that's simple. If it's lukewarm to your touch, that's going to be plenty warm enough for them. So there's lots of alternatives to that, but if you're going to do that, you got to be really, really careful and don't have it in your house if you do. It's very dangerous to have it in your house.
Okay, that makes sense. So other tips that you can give us for protecting ourselves, our homes from fire?
Sure, I got a couple of things here, just in a couple of more examples that we have here. This, what do you think that is?
I have no idea.
Well, it's not a lighter, because all of our lighters have to be kid-proof, but it's you can't really see the flame. But when this is fully charged, it throws a flame up about 3 inches on there. People buy these things and they'll use them to start their fireplaces. This one came from a fire where somebody watched Mom and Dad light fires with it, and they took it and were able to activate it and play with it themselves.
Oh no, okay.
So if you're going to use heat sources like this, it's all right. You got to teach your kids how to use it, but be very careful with it. Another thing that's a great tip for us is to make for sure that we use things in accordance with the manner that they were intended to be. So you recognize that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the earlier generations of fluorescent bulb.
Yeah.
This one didn't cause a fire, but we have had these causes of fire. And these were intended to be setting in a lamp or maybe in a light fixture where it's hanging out in open air.
Okay.
So in this particular instance, the homeowner kept smelling something burning and eventually started setting off the smoke alarm. And this was actually inside an enclosure that didn't let the air circulate around it there. So.
Oh, like a glass globe or something?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So the manufacturer said don't do that, but they did. And I don't read every label that we get, but
right.
So use the things in the manner in which they were intended to be used. Don't force it to do something else. Or if this says leave your bulb out in the open, leave it out in the open.
Makes sense.
I got one more example here. What do you think this is?
Looks like a fan of some sort.
It's a fan. This is a bathroom fan. You use them to hang up in your ceilings that are on there.
Yeah.
And it hooks onto a plastic hose that goes up to a vent in the ceiling most of the time. But you look on the inside of that there. Mm-hmm. That's pretty gross, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of dust and dirt on there. So every year we're going to have these things that this dust and dirt builds up, and it stops this fan from moving. But the motor stays energized, and it actually ignites that dust that's on there. It goes right out the hole.
Yeah.
And you got a fire in your ceiling.
Oh no.
You know, so this is just kind of indicative of the maintenance you kind of need to do. You know, pull that refrigerator out, vacuum behind it, drop down the cover on these, vacuum it off, and while you're at it, vac off your
Who knew
smoke
that
alarms.
housekeeping was so important to preventing fires?
It certainly is. It certainly is. But you know, we're in our homes all the time. We have to take a little time to take care of them, to do some updates on them. So, you know, that's some of the big, and these kind of run in clusters. You know, we'll have a group of these for a while. The springtime is really bad for these types of fires.
Okay,
that we
when
have
people
there.
get their chicks.
Yeah.
Okay. So your website, does your website have important information that people can use, and what's there?
Absolutely. If you go to our website, we've got some information on there about outdoor burning. We try to include some things for topical information. There'll be some information later on about wood stove safety. We have some stuff on there from time to time about fire safety, and there's some links to some videos with other prevention type of information on it.
Okay. Well, wonderful. I hope our viewers will check that out.
I do too.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot about your department today.
It was my pleasure.
It's a pleasure hanging out with you, and I'm glad that we have some tips that I can use and our viewers can use to
Perfect.
protect themselves from fire.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.